basic premise of the game is
It's called Evolution.
It's called Evolution, and it's based on a board game that's been out for a number of years now. We're doing the digital version of it, and the basic premise of the game is you have a series of species that you're evolving, and you're giving them traits that allow them to feed at the watering hole. Everybody's vying for the same set of food in the watering hole, so what you're trying to do is make a very efficient set of species that can gather as much food as possible.
Okay.
The problem is that the watering hole food varies fairly rapidly.
Okay.
And so some rounds there's not very much food in the watering hole, and some of your species will die. Sometimes there's a lot of food, so you can build out a lot of species. The problem is also is that if the food source dies, one of the things you can do is you can convert your species to a carnivore. So instead of feeding at the watering hole, you're feeding on the other players.
Okay.
You're actually just eating them, and they can also use traits to make defensive traits against a carnivore.
Okay.
So you end up with a kind of an ecosystem of trying to feed on things, they're trying to protect themselves, and you're also trying to get food and all that. So it becomes a pretty deep strategy game, and the board game takes 45 minutes, about 7 or 8 rounds to get through.
This is the board game over here.
The board game over there is what they're playing.
Okay.
And what we've done is the board game we've actually done expansions to. Like the middle board they're playing is called Climate,
Okay.
which is exactly this game, but it adds the component of weather conditions. So it goes from ice age to drought and volcanic events and that kind of thing. So the weather events start adding another component of strategy to the gameplay.
Okay.
So in this one in particular, the cards actually have like 3 different functions. They have a value of food, they have a trait value, and they have the ability to make a species. So it kind of depends on what mode of the game you're in, what round you're in as to what's going on. Right now it's asking me to play a food card, so I'm looking at those green numbers trying to determine what I'm going to give to the food. So I gave 3 into the food, into that, the available plant resources in there. I don't know how much these guys gave, so I'm now going to play my traits, and I can do stuff like I can put a trait on my character like that to give him so now that one has a trait of defensive herding, and defensive herding says if there's a carnivore out there, he must be bigger in population to attack this species. So
Really cool.
he has to be bigger than me. So what I can do is I can pull one of my trait cards onto the population, and I've increased my population to 2 now. I can also make another species by dragging it over. So now I have 2 species, and I can give different traits to this guy. So I've completed that part of the round. So now they're doing the same thing as I just did. I don't know what their traits are yet. Then they reveal. And then those cards flip over, and this tells how much food. So 11 food showed up. You see the environment, get more lush based on that. So now these guys have traits, and I can go over the top and see what their traits are, and see what they've set up for their thing. So I can actually now feed. So I get 1 round. I get a feed. He gets to feed. He'll feed, and then he'll feed, and then we continue along, trying to go after the available food. What will happen is, you'll see it's getting down low. So this first round we all fed, and 2 food were left over, and everybody's happy. So now the cards are dealing out again, and we're gonna end up with another set of round just like the one before. So I'm looking through my cards, seeing what's available in there, and I'm gonna give a food source. So now we're going to go through that same sequence. Now I can look at other traits to give to my other characters. So like in this one, the warning call. What that does, I'll put him on this one. Warning call allows this guy to warn these guys that there's a carnivore around.
Okay.
So what happens is, unless the carnivore has a warning call on it, he can't attack this guy. He can still attack this guy, but he can't attack this guy.
Okay.
So what happens is I can go add traits for defensive stuff. I don't really need to because nobody's turned into a carnivore yet. I could turn mine into a carnivore if I want by just dragging it up there. So you'll see he turns dark, turns red. So now he is going to be able to eat these guys if I've set it up right.
Okay.
So I'm going to actually make him a little bit bigger. I've increased his body size by 1, and I'm going to add his population to him. So now I can eat 2 guys, and I'm bigger than these guys, so I can eat them. So as long as they don't have a defensive trait, I'm good. So I'll see what happens here on this next one. So now more food will show up in the watering hole. So this guy's an herbivore and this guy's a carnivore now. So I can feed in 2 different places on the watering hole. I can feed in the watering hole. You see that guy just ate a whole bunch. So I can feed in the watering hole like that, and you'll see the food start making the watering hole get more sparse. Or so I'm going to feed my herbivore first because that food's running out kind of fast here. So now if I click on him, I can feed on this guy, I can feed on this guy, and I can feed on this guy. The reason I can't get after him is he has warning call.
Okay.
And, or actually, no, I can't feed on him because he's got a warning call trait. So the ones that are highlighted are the ones I can feed on. So if I go over to him, he goes over and he removes one of the food sources. So I've now got a meat food source, and I can feed on that guy. And you'll see this guy, as I fed on him, his population dropped by 1. So now all that food gets dumped into my food bag. At the end of the day, whoever has the most food in their food bag wins.
Okay.
That's
and how many turns does it go until everyone's dead?
It depends on how many species you have, because how many cards you get is based on how many species you have out.
Okay.
So it's generally 7 to 8 rounds. In the board game, that's 7 to 8 rounds, 45 minutes of play. The game on the digital side goes quite a bit faster.
Yeah.
Everything's done for you. So this is 20 to 30 minutes, depending on how complex it gets.
And is this available now?
No, we're in alpha right now. We're going to do a Kickstarter, and beta will be around January.
Okay.
We're going to go out on Steam, iOS, and mobile. And so we should have and it's going to be multiplayer with tournaments and stuff like that. So it's going to be a pretty popular game, we hope, because the board game has been pretty successful and people really enjoy it. So
cool. Well, thanks for showing me. You bet.